What's up everybody, this is Corb, and before we get into this video, I just want to quickly shout out my new Facebook page. It is facebook.com/cobrack.gg. Make sure to follow up there if you want to take part in Q&As, to stay up to date on what's going on with me and all that kind of stuff if you are a Facebook user. And alright, going from there straight into the video. So a lot of you guys have been asking me in the stream chat and the comments and stuff like that what I would do to try and spruce up the spec. You know, what I would do to give Destro, to give it its soul back, you know what I mean? So in this video we're going to be covering 9 changes that I came up with basically just last night. It took me about 10 minutes or something to scribble all these down. And the idea behind all of these changes is either to give Destro some mobility, pretty much, because that's one of the main things that we're lacking, or just to make it feel fun again. To stop it from being this ultra long cast time, self-healing tank spec almost in PvP. Some of these changes are going to have ramifications for PvE balance. Some of them might make us OP or whatever. I've tried to take PvE into consideration a little bit. I don't want to say it'll triple the damage of Chaos Bolt or something crazy like that, you know, because that would obviously just screw over PvE so much. And yeah, getting right into it, we're going to start off with the talent trees. I think there's something like 5 or 6 changes that I would make here. Some of these talents are just very, very underused. And on that note, we're going to start by looking at Burning Rush. Now, what is Burning Rush for any of you non-Warlock players? Well, Burning Rush increases your movement speed by 50%, but it does this at the cost of 4% of your maximum health every second. Movement impairing effects may not reduce you below 100% of your normal movement speed, lasts until cancelled, blah 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 blah. Now, this ability is fucking horrible in PvP. I don't see anybody ever using it. You see some people maybe trying to be a little bit different or whatever, trolling around with it a little bit in Battlegrounds, but apart from that, this ability is just never used. I think it even costs a global, actually, just to activate the damn thing, so it's just a terrible ability. You activate it to try and kite people to avoid damage, but by activating it, you're taking damage anyway, so it's just a strange talent that is just never picked up. Blood Horror, Unbound Will, way better. I don't know if Burning Rush is used in PvE or not, but even still, I think that there are ways that this talent could be changed to make it good in both PvE and in PvP. Now, we're speaking purely from a Destro point of view here, so why couldn't this ability be tweaked for the Destro spec, in that maybe every time you crit with Conflag, you gain a, I don't know, 100% speed buff for just 1 or 2 seconds, and maybe it dispels all snares and roots, or something like that at the same time. So that means every time your Conflagrate crits while you're on the move, you're trying to kite somebody, you get this little burst of speed that is going to get you some distance away from melees. It's a little bit RNG, but I think that it's pretty versatile. I think it would be extremely good in PvP, and I don't think that it would affect PvE that much either. I think that would be a pretty interesting mechanic to have on a Destro lock. It adds a little bit of the volatility and chaoticness, or whatever the correct term or word would be, to the Destro spec again. But most importantly, it buffs our mobility a little bit in PvP, which is sorely needed in Walls of Draenor, where we basically have the mobility of a lamppost. Next up, moving down one tier, we're just kind of blazing through these. We basically have the Grimoire tier. We have Supremacy, Service, and Sacrifice. Now, I think that this tier is actually fine. I'd like to see maybe a cooldown reduction on Service, but other than that, I think it's okay. I think that the main problem, however, is that pets just get fucking one-shotted in PvP. I think that that's a massive problem. Why can't they just mitigate player damage against pets a little bit? I'm not sure. We could even just have a 15% player damage reduction to player controlled pets. I'm not sure how hard that would be to implement, but it would definitely help out. I miss playing a pet build with Destro, you know? So I don't know, I just think having tankier pets, I think that would be a big step in the right direction of just getting a little bit of diversity going within the build. Again, I think that Service needs a little bit of a buff, but yeah, that isn't really a pressing issue, so I'm just going to brush over that in this video. Another change that could conceivably be made on the talent trees is a buff to Kil'jaeden's Cunning. Kil'jaeden's Cunning was the talent to use in Mists of Pandaria. It was so much fun to use. I mean, at one point you could actually cast every spell in your book while moving constantly. It was a passive, you know? Now, being able to cast while move everything might have been slightly overpowered in hindsight. It definitely had a lot of upsides, not many drawbacks at all. It was undisputedly the best talent on the tier in Mists of Pandaria. So we don't want that version of Kil'jaeden's Cunning back. What I would like to see make a return, however, is the version of Kil'jaeden's Cunning that is passive. It's constantly active, but it only affects your Incinerate, so you can always cast while moving, as long as you are only casting Incinerate. That's not overpowered at all, you know what I mean? Fire Mages can do it with Scorch, So why shouldn't we be able to do it with our Incinerates? Another reason that change would be extremely good actually in 6.2 is because our new PvP 4-set bonus actually increases our Incinerate damage by 50% against immolated targets. It would just make that 4-set bonus buff so much more significant. At least it adds just a little bit of diversity, you know? You could maybe play something like a Kil'jaeden's Cunning spec, combined with Demonic Servitude a little bit further down the tree instead of fucking Charred Remains, which I don't think anybody likes because it just means that you're going to be Ember tapping for life. But anyways, that is my opinion on that. Moving on down just one tier more, we get to Cataclysm, boys. Now again, I just want to mention here that I don't want all of these changes to be implemented. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas, you know, ideas that will hopefully propagate in some way. Because again, like I say, I think that you could literally take one or two of these ideas, tweak them, balance them a little bit, and put them on the live servers, and it would just make the spec so much more fun to play. I'm not saying that all of these changes should be enacted immediately on the next PTR build, get them out there within a month. And I think that if all of these changes were to go live, we'd just be one of the most broken, overpowered Mongo specs in the entire game. So, but you're getting to Cataclysm. This shit should be fucking instant cast in my opinion. A 3-second cast time, 1 minute cooldown ability that hits less than Chaos Bolt even when it crits. There's just something wrong with that in my opinion. Maybe it's imbalanced in PvE. Maybe everybody goes for Cataclysm in PvE for like AoE fights or something like that. I don't know. But in my opinion, if Cataclysm could be instant cast, that would actually give us options on our 100 tier. I mean, just imagine if Cataclysm was instant cast and the cooldown was reduced by 10 seconds for every player target hit, or something like that. How fucking awesome would that shit be, man? I'd pick that. I think that would be great. I do think that this could have some PvE ramifications. I don't know, it is one of those changes I'm not quite sure about on that front. PvP wise, in BGs, maybe the cooldown reduction component would be a little bit broken in our BGs. So maybe we'd have to scrap that. But yeah, to me, Cataclysm should be instant cast with its current damage scaling. I really like the concept behind this ability. It's just never ever used because both Demonic Servitude and Charred Remains are just way better than it right now. The cast time and the cooldown, they just don't work. And again, this one isn't really a change, but just looking at Demonic Servitude again, I would love to be able to use this, but for the simple fact that, again, the pets are just too squishy. They just get one-shotted in PvP. Like, a warrior can literally just Blade Storm randomly in arena and accidentally kill your pet. But that's the dream anyway. That's all the talents, guys. I think I went over 5 or 6 changes there, all in all. Feel free to take a little bit of a breather at this point. This might be like the halfway point of the video or something. I don't know how long this video is actually going to be, but next up we're going to go over general abilities. Now, some of these abilities were removed. Some of them are just new takes on current mechanics and stuff like that. And we're going to start off with the obvious Fel Flame. Now, guys, I've got to be completely honest about Fel Flame. I don't think I'm alone on this. Why was it removed? Does anybody even know why it was removed? It's just impossible for me to understand. I've literally had like 7 months of Warlords of Draenor now to think about it. I still don't know why Fel Flame was removed. I suppose Blizzard might have some kind of case to make for Destro in that people were just spamming Fel Flame to build quick embers or something like that. But I mean, that could easily be fixed. Why don't they just bring it back for Destro only, even? And have it not generate embers? Or maybe put it on a 3 or 4 second cooldown or something like that and have it still generate embers. There are so many things they could do to make Fel Flame part of the game again, and it was such a good ability. There was so much fucking uproar on the Warlords of Draenor beta forums when Fel Flame was announced as one of the victims of the ability pruning, you know? Not a single blue post, no acknowledgement at all that any of the complaints were heeded. And as a result, I mean, I'm sure all you guys know, but the removal of Fel Flame is literally, I mean, one of the primary reasons as to why Destro feels so hollow and soulless right now on the live servers. So basically, bring fucking Fel Flame back, make it not generate embers, simples. Next up, Shadow Flame. Does anybody remember Shadow Flame? Holy shit, guys. Like, that was, man, it was so good. I'm actually going to have a screenshot on right now of Shadow Flame to remind anybody. I think, was it removed Mists of Pandaria? I think it might have been removed Mists of Pandaria. I'm pretty sure that we had it in Cataclysm. Shadow Flame was amazing. They made it a talent for a while. I don't know why they made it a talent, because it was up against Shadow Fury and Mortal Coil, and we had baseline Howl of Terror. Yeah, it used to be Shadow Flame on the level 30 tier, Shadow Fury, and Mortal Coil. And of course, why the fuck would you take a 70% daze effect that did no damage over Shadow Fury or Mortal Coil. You just wouldn't. It was never ever used. Blizzard, for some reason, thought that that meant that nobody liked the ability, which wasn't the problem. Shadow Flame should be baseline for every Warlock spec. It operates similar to a Mage's Cone of Cold. It slows targets by something like, I think it was 60 or 70%. For 3 or 4 seconds, and it also used to apply a dot as well, which was a nice little flavor feature, you know. Shadow Flame was brilliant. It just gave us another kiting tool, another way to deal damage while melees are all up in our face. Fel Flame without Ember generation, and Shadow Flame, bring those back. Next up, Backlash. Oh my god, guys, I'm gonna actually have to dig up like a TBC or Wrath of the Lich King old school talent shot to show you guys the old Destro talent tree for anybody who wasn't around and doesn't know what Backlash is. What Backlash used to do, you had to put 3 talent points into it back in the days, and that would give you a 25% chance to get an instant Incinerate proc every 8 seconds, every time you were hit by a melee or a physical attack, you know? And Backlash has been with us since the Burning Crusade. I'm not sure if it was in Vanilla WoW, but it was definitely in TBC. We've had it, I mean, we literally had it for, what, 5 years or something like that? And it was randomly, for no reason at all, removed from the Destro spec in Walls of Draenor. It was just a flavor ability, another way to just deal a little chunk of damage while you're getting trained by a rogue, a DK, a warrior, whatever. It could only proc every 8 seconds, it wasn't imbalanced in any way, and it was just removed without a thought. And it just added to the whole flavor of you know, chaos and spontaneity that came along with the Destro spec. I don't think that bringing Backlash back would have a massive effect or anything like that on the game. It wouldn't revolutionize our gameplay, but it really can't be hard to add back into the game. It was flavoursome, and yeah, I think that is the last passive or ability or whatever that I would like to see brought back to the Destro spec. That's Fel Flame, Shadow Flame, and Backlash. So we've gone through 8 possible changes so far. Again, I'll say one more time, I don't think that all of these should just be implemented in one big YOLO patch or something like that. Even if just 1 or 2 of them were brought back to the game, I think that would really help out. We're going to round up the video now with a whole new take on Burning Embers. To put it in one phrase, less healing and more damage. And I don't mean more damage numbers, because obviously Chaos Bolt hits really hard, but unfortunately it is the only way that we can spend our embers on damage. I'm pretty sure that with Charred Remains in the way that Destro is right now, you know, you got Searing Flames, Charred Remains, all these things like beef up your ember taps. We must cast literally about 6 or 7 ember taps for every 1 Chaos Bolt that we cast. And that ratio, that's just fucked up, man. Like, we shouldn't be healing that much. We are Destruction Warlocks for the sake of fuck, you know what I mean? I mean, how awesome would it actually be if we could spend our embers on different ways of dealing damage? Maybe they deal less damage than Chaos Bolt, but they're instant cast. Maybe we get some kind of YOLO blast wave, or something like that. Or it's almost like a Death and Decay. Like, you melt the ground around your feet, so any melees that are on you get slowed by 70% and take, you know, damage ticks or whatever. Something like that even. Another one that I sometimes think about as well. Imagine if we could toggle on instant cast Incinerates at the cost of embers. So instead of building embers, they actually cost us embers, and you can just start fucking shooting those out like crazy. Or what if we even had some kind of fiery overload or some shit like that, and once you're holding 4 burning embers and your character's on fire and you look like you're about to fucking rip someone in half, once you're holding 4 full burning embers, Incinerates jump from your character to random nearby enemy targets every 2 seconds. Again, it's flavoursome. It could come with the drawback of, you know, breaking CC accidentally if you let yourself hold 4 embers at the wrong time, or something like that. I just think that would be awesome. I think there's so many more interesting things that you can do with the whole ember system. Chaos Bolts, ember taps, I don't think either of those are fun. Okay, Chaos Bolts can be kinda juicy, but ember tapping is not fun. Trying to get off Chaos Bolts against melee teams is not fun. And I mean, if I can come up with these kinds of ideas, which I don't think are that amazing, really, I just thought about them for about 10 minutes. Like, if I had to be realistic about the 2 changes, like, if I had to pick 2 changes from all of these that I think would actually fix Destro, I think that the Burning Rush change to make Conflagrate crits give us a temporary dash and Snare Breaker, I think that would be a fucking huge help. And I think that Killjaden's Cunning should be made passive and constantly affect Incinerate. And I really do think that would make Destro pretty much viable again. You can maybe add back Shadow Flame and or Fel Flame as well. But anyways, yeah, that is my take on it, guys. That's about 9 changes-ish around. that I would consider making. Maybe make 2 or 3 of them at the most. If I was sitting on the creative desk or whatever it is, you know, at Blizzard headquarters. Hell, I hope that they see this video. How amazing would it be if some of these changes actually came true, you know? But anyways, guys, that is going to be that. I'm sure a ton of you guys have a lot of stuff to say in the comments. Maybe you think some of these changes are just fucking stupid. If that's the case, mention that as well, you know. I want to see all feedback. And maybe you've got some ideas that could fix other classes, or just make other classes feel like they've got their bolds back. But yeah, thanks for coming by, everybody. Really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, do remember to leave a like, share it around, stuff like that. Thanks again, guys. Have an awesome day, and I'm going to catch all of you just a little bit later.